Costner leaving Yellowstone. We're going to get into that right now on the Sundowners Club. Yellowstone, probably the biggest show on the streaming platforms of the last 4 or 5 years. It's Paramount's capstone, right? It's the linchpin for all the series that have taken Paramount Plus from literally no subscribers to over almost 80 million.
It's their main IP.
It is
for
the
sure.
main IP, and the rumors are flying around that Kevin Costner will be exiting the series. We've talked about this a little bit over the last few weeks, but initially I thought just a little bit of posturing, right? Negotiating a pay raise. But things got a little bit interesting today. And I'm going to get into that. First of all, when you started hearing the news a few weeks ago, I think you and I talked about there were rumors that Kevin Costner didn't want to film on the show, and he has a new movie that he's filming called Horizon that is a Western, and it takes place pre- and post-Civil War, and it's got a huge who's who in the cast. They've already cast the movie, ready to go into production on it. And so the thought was that there was a rumor Matthew McConaughey may come in and replace Kevin Costner in a new character to take the Yellowstone story and the existing cast in a new direction. So when that first came out, what were your initial thoughts on Kevin Costner potentially leaving?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's part of the problem when you're dealing with big name actors. Kevin Costner is a guy who huge in the 90s, and then kind of fell off for a while.
Well, one of the reasons he fell off,
it's hard to work with.
He was very difficult to work with.
And this show made him, A-list again. So now he's getting the options to go back into movies, and that's just something that happens.
Yeah,
So,
whatever you were 20, 30 years ago, and he was as big as it gets for a while.
the early mid-90s, he was huge.
Right, but this show brought him back.
Mhm.
Taylor Sheridan, brought Kevin Costner back, and so Taylor benefited and Kevin benefited. We all benefited. I mean, Kevin Costner was great for this series, but let's get into what's happened. We mentioned that he doesn't want to film as many hours on the show for the second half of season 5. And we mentioned that he's got this movie coming out that he's directing, Horizon. For those that don't know, Kevin Costner has been notorious when he's done other projects over the last 30 years, Waterworld and The Postman, which I liked The Postman. Waterworld I could have done without. I didn't hate it, but
Waterworld's really what kind of hurt his career.
It went way over budget.
Yeah.
Cost the studio a lot of money.
It's the most expensive
money.
movie of all time at that time.
At that time, it was the most expensive movie. And back when people weren't really paying attention to the internet, it was in the trades, and everybody knew about it. This thing was
as a huge flop.
Would ruin his career. So, tough to work with. And so all this stuff was happening. And let me read to you from, Matthew Baloney, the founding partner of Punk News, some of the things that came out today. And because I think it's important to see where the Yellowstone IP is going. Matthew Baloney, the founding partner of Punk News, and the first to report on the on-set challenges of Yellowstone and the disagreements. Baloney says the drama is rooted in several factors, including scheduling disagreements, pay disputes, and personal friction between key players. The friction is between Taylor Sheridan and Kevin Costner. Now, the cast is getting frustrated because of Kevin's potential behavior. But so Baloney says Kevin Costner is famously headstrong. He's been at odds with Taylor Sheridan, the creator of the show, for months now over the days that he's going to be shooting for the next part of the season. According to a report earlier this month, he requested 1 week of shooting to complete the remaining 8 episodes of the back half of season 5. 8 episodes, and he's going to shoot for 1 week, making over $1 million an episode? That's insane, if that's true, which is slated to air this summer. His request was allegedly denied by Paramount, of course, because he has a contract. So Baloney told Entertainment Tonight that some feel Costner has a big ego, and this came to the forefront on Yellowstone as he's been working on his passion project, Horizon, which is a Western that he's directing and starring in. He wanted to put that in front of the shooting of Yellowstone, and the producers of Yellowstone said, hey, the show is the first priority. We're paying you a lot of money to do this show. And they butted heads with Kevin. The fight's been playing out over the past few months behind the scenes. And so then here's where it gets interesting. So normally you'd have a publicist. Kevin Costner would have a publicist or an agent or someone leak out or make a statement on his behalf or say something in the trades. But Marty Singer, his attorney, made a statement today and said the idea that Kevin was only willing to work 1 week on the second half of season 5 of Yellowstone is an absolute lie. It's ridiculous. As everyone who knows anything about Kevin is well aware, he's incredibly passionate about the show and always gone way above and beyond to ensure its success. However, there have been reports that Costner's unhappy with having to work outside the established shooting period. The way Yellowstone is shot is that Costner comes to the set for a certain period of time. He's taken the position that anything outside of his contractually obligated time, he should be paid extra for it. Keep in mind, he's making over $1.2 million per episode. But in Hollywood, it's sort of an unwritten rule that you promote your show or your movie when it comes to do that. Now, Kevin Costner, this has happened before. I think on For Love of the Game, he's had movies where he shot the movie and then he wanted to be paid extra to go out and promote the movie. And for those in Hollywood, they know that's kind of a no-no. You do the movie and you promote the movie because you're also part of a team of people that go into making these movies. I mean, there's potentially thousands of people that work on some of these big films, and they all have a stake in the game. So your job is to promote it, especially if you're one of the primary actors. So this is not new. I tend to think that's accurate because Costner has been known to have done that before. And so then he was asking for extra money to promote the show, and the producers got frustrated. They saw it as a money grab from a guy that was being paid a ton of money. It's reported by Variety this past summer that he's making well over $1 million per episode. He's making $1.2 million, and that's in addition to the overall deal, which pays him extra money. So he makes more than $20 million a season if it goes 16 episodes, which is planned for season 5. If it's picked up for a 6th season, which it would be, he's in Costner's on the show, he will get $1.5 million per episode. But it's up in the air as to whether or not that'll happen. It's in limbo right now. They're trying to figure out whether Costner's coming back or more likely whether he's going to be written out of the show. So once they determine that, then they'll finish writing the second half of the season, shoot it, and it will likely air in the fall. And so, at the end of this, it certainly seems like that knowing Taylor Sheridan, and let's talk for just a second about what Taylor Sheridan has done for Paramount. This guy has Yellowstone. He's got Mayor of Kingstown. He's got 1883, 1923, Tulsa King. He also has a new series coming out called Lioness, which stars Morgan Freeman, Zoe Saldana from Avatar, Nicole Kidman, where they play like a female CIA ops team, and Morgan Freeman plays the Secretary of State. And then he's also got something called Landman coming out with Billy Bob Thornton, where he plays a crisis manager for an oil company. It's kind of that Dallas oil types. And he's also got The Four Sixes coming out, which is an offshoot of Yellowstone. He is a gold mine for Paramount Plus right now, and he's going to win this fight. So it's going to ultimately be his call. Do you bring Kevin Costner back and basically cater to him at the risk of alienating the rest of your cast, the people that have been working hard on it? Or do you bet on yourself, which Taylor Sheridan does that all the time, and he's built a whole streaming network from it. This guy is the hottest thing in Hollywood in terms of all these shows are hits, by the way. He doesn't have a failure yet of any of these shows. So my prediction is they're not going to resolve this. He may finish up season 5, but the rumors are already out there that there's been talk that Kurt Russell could show up in a new offshoot of Yellowstone once Costner's out. There is obviously talk that you can find online that Matthew McConaughey is in talks to have a role on a new Yellowstone series. So whether that happens or not, we don't know. That's just speculation. But a lot of the tea leaves being read is that Costner's going to be out and they're going to move on in a different direction with some of these same characters, but maybe a new story or something around that. And look at all the people he's brought into all his shows. They're all heavy hitter actors.
Right.
Like, that's a who's who I just named. Like, everybody wants to be part of the Taylor Sheridan universe right now, right? I mean, this is because they know it's a hit. So he won't have trouble replacing Costner. I, for one, hate it because I think Costner was a huge part of the success of Yellowstone. Yeah. But you get to the point where these are powerful individuals with big egos. Do you think this is going to get resolved? Give me your gut prediction based on what I just told you. His attorney made a statement today, not his publicist.
The behind-the-scenes drama with actors, like I couldn't care any less about that stuff.
$20 million a year, guaranteed.
To me, they're all just weirdos, and I'm just like, Just make the shows like as far as actors go. I only care about like what they do in their shows and,
Yeah.
and the actual show itself. I don't care about any of the behind the scenes stuff.
Right.
What I'm worried about is how it affects the show,
Right.
and if they have to do it in a way that's natural and makes sense. I hate when they, you'd have to kill off the character if he's not in it.
Yeah.
You can't just have Matthew McConaughey pop up as
it wouldn't hurt the story too bad in that they've been building. For those that have watched Yellowstone, it's 5 seasons in. They've been building toward Kevin Costner's potential death for about a season or two now. So it wouldn't be anything.
if you can do it in a way, because I mean they've already shown they can spin off that series. With they can go in different years. They can they could take it to Texas or something like that. A different state, different town. So as long as they keep the quality of the show and they write it in a way that feels natural, then I'm okay. But if it ruins the way things are going, then you got to do it in a way where they can naturally progress it into the next thing. But yeah, I mean it sucks that actor drama can ruin a show, but I mean it happens all the time. It's
happened a lot in Hollywood. And look, I mean we've kept from commenting on this or talking about this because our interests lie in storytelling, things that we like, things that we see, things we want to comment on. So we try to just focus on the stories. Do we like an episode? What do we like about it? What do we think is going? Things that are coming out. Those are the things we're interested in. And so we only comment on something like this when it ultimately
could affect the story.
Yeah. And so we've kept from talking about this. But today, when you have the attorney of Kevin Costner making statements, and it's Marty Singer,
it's probably not good.
That tells you exactly where things are. They're not in a good place at all. And so we wanted to comment on it because it does impact potentially the larger Yellowstone world building that Taylor Sheridan's done. But we'll see how it gets resolved, and we'll be here to cover it. If you like what you heard today, leave a comment below, hit the like button, and most importantly, hit subscribe so that we can grow the channel. And TCB.